the jackals, hyenas. They're barking at him, laughing at him. They nip his toes and eat the food that's in his domain. They do this, and they get closer and closer and bolder, till one day, that lion gets up and tears the shit out of everybody, runs like the wind, eats everything in his path. Because every once in a while, the lion has to show the jackals who he is.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Mafia Means Family podcast. I am Mafia Mom.
I am the Mafia. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Let's get into it.
All right, so we're going to, first we're going to cover the last week. How's your week been, kid? How you doing?
My week has been great, actually. School has been going extremely well, and I'm really excited for the Bills game.
Yes, definitely.
Also, I got this new shirt. It's hype. I love it.
It's a Bills Christmas shirt, right? We got our other Bills Christmas shirt here with the Grinch using the Patriots helmet as a toilet, which is very symbolic after last week, right? What'd you think of the game last week?
It was pretty good. It was definitely good, but I'm pretty sure Davis had definitely a few drops. Still, we won. We got out with a win. I'm fine.
Yeah, I think overall it was a good effort. It was a good team win. I don't know about you, but to me, it never really felt like the game was out of our control. It kind of always felt like we were going to win that game. The defense was very impressive. Completely shut Mac Jones and Ramondre Stevens down. The Patriots offense couldn't get anything going outside of one essentially trick play that they never put on film before. And the offense did enough. You know, it was impressive the way they controlled the clock. We ended up holding the ball for like almost 39 minutes, over 38 minutes. So that was a good sign that we're able to win in different ways. We'll start off with the negative side of the game, though. Who would you call in for a family meeting after last week?
The family meeting would be the O-line.
What do you got to say about them?
Well, they didn't really play too well, and they really couldn't keep the blocks on.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Obviously, Deion Dawkins being out was a big deal. That hurt us a lot. Excuse me. And I don't know how close to 100% Mitch Morris was, but it really seemed like the issue was coming from the tackle positions. Even Spencer Brown, I think he gave up a couple pressures, but Casey Berry, you got to give him credit. He got hurt early in that game, and he grit his teeth and he pushed through. Which you love to see that because you want the guys to fight and battle, especially when we have no options left. But he definitely didn't play well. I put the turnover on him for sure.
How's it going, Mafia family? We are going extremely well, and thank you for asking. I know we're both hyped for the game.
We definitely are, Dallas. Thank you for checking in. How are you guys doing today out there? Please feel free to share anything you want in the chat. We'd love to hear your opinions and your views on things. If you have anything to add to what we're saying, or maybe a different topic altogether, or if you want to ask anything, I'm happy to engage there. So I would agree with you on the offensive line. I'm really hoping we get Deion Dawkins back this week.
So do I.
I believe he's still been out in practice. Let me double check, pull up my injury report here. Yeah, so Deion Dawkins was limited, so maybe he'll play, maybe not, but the Jets have quite a pass rush, which we'll get into a little later, but it would be really nice to have Casey Berry out. Do you think that Deion Dawkins back out there, what do you think if he has to go again? Are you concerned moving forward, or do you think it was a once-off?
I do. I am very concerned about Casey Berry being in because, like you said, he did get hurt, but again, he did play a little sloppy when he wasn't hurt.
Yeah, I definitely have concerns there too. Which, like I said, we'll get into a little more in depth when we preview the Jets game coming up. My family meeting, you kind of touched on a little bit, would have to be Gabe Davis. I know he caught the touchdown, and that was good to see. But again, it just seems like something's off with him. I don't know what it is. But he had 7 targets. Allen threw it to him 7 times. He only made 2 catches. On the season, he's only catching about 50% of the balls that are thrown his way. He's caught 35 passes on 67 targets. That's an insane number of either Allen's off or he's dropping it. They're not on the same page, whatever it is. Either way, it's a lot of targets not to come through. Just to give you an idea, like Diggs is catching basically 3 out of 4. He's caught 91 passes on 128 targets. So to only catch half is a big deal. And I also found out that Allen has 11 interceptions this year, which is frustrating. 5 of them are when he's been targeting Davis, though. So that's considering he isn't targeting him half as much as he's targeting Diggs, and yet 5 interceptions when you're targeting Davis. There's something going on there between Allen and Davis that's just not clicking, and it's getting a little worrisome because I don't know if we can survive throughout the playoffs without a number 2 solid receiver. What did you think of Davis's performance?
I kind of liked it. Yes, he did catch the touchdown, but he did have, I'm pretty sure, 5 drops that game.
Not that game. That
Well, like 1 or 2.
he had a couple drops that game. Yeah, and he just doesn't seem to be getting the separation. Would you agree?
Yes, he's definitely not getting the separation. I'm pretty sure I heard you say a few weeks ago his ankle might be a factor in that.
Yeah, he's had ankle injuries in the past. I haven't heard anything specifically about it bothering him again, but that was the only thing I could think of because it just doesn't seem like he's playing like himself. So we want the old Davis back from last year, right?
Yeah, he's definitely not getting like the release, the push that he usually gets to start him up on him.
Yeah, and I see Dallas there pointing out a big game on Sunday. Really need Dion back. If not, we need to play somewhat like our game against the Rams opening night. Allen, get the ball out quick. Jets D is very good. Could not agree with you more, Dallas, on every word there. That pass rush is real and it's scary. And Quentin Williams, I know he's coming up the middle, but if that offensive line blocks the way it did against the Pats, I'm scared for his safety and his health. We'll put it that way. So could not agree with you more. Very good point there. One last thing I want to point out about Gabe Davis. He has 7 drops this year altogether. If you were to combine the drops that he's had in the 2 prior years, so since he's been in the NFL, he's only had 8. So he's almost at the same number of drops that he had the last 2 years combined. I know that his workload has gone up some, but it's not enough to constitute that many drops. So again, I just think something is not right with Davis. Let's move on to the positive side, though. I mean, we did win by 14 points, so there's no reason to harp on the negative end of things. Who was your player of the game?
My player of the game was James Cook.
I think that's a good choice. And what do you have to say about Cook? What did you think?
Well, he had 14 attempts, I'm pretty sure. Yes, 14 attempts, 64 yards, 4.6 as an average, 6 receptions, and 41 yards.
Yeah, he had a good game. It seemed like kind of a breakout game for him. It seemed like he was getting he was the featured back. Yeah, and it seemed like he was the featured back. Like I think that was the first week that I remember. I don't know about you or Dallas, if you have an opinion or anybody else in here. But I think that was the first week that I remember Cook being the focal point as far as the running backs went. Singletary still got his touches and got his carries, but it seemed to be a lot more about Cook, and it was impressive to see him come alive. I think that's a great choice. And he could really be a weapon moving forward, right?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. Agree. My player of the game, I'm going to give it to Tremaine Edmonds. He didn't have a huge game stats-wise. He just seemed to make big plays at key moments and be in the right spot. I've been super impressed with him this year. He seems to be playing without the mistakes that were happening before. So Edmonds always had good plays, but then he'd have these plays where you're just like, what are you doing? Where he takes a bad angle or he goes inside when you could tell he had outside contained and the runner gets outside. But this game, he had six total tackles. He had 5 solo, and he had 1.5 tackles for loss. So he had 1 tackle for loss and an assisted one. But I just thought that he was in a good position all game. he forced running backs to cut back at different times, and then other people got tackles, which that kind of stuff doesn't show up on the stat sheet, but it's still important and helps the defense overall.
Yes, it definitely does.
Yeah. One more thing I wanted to ask about regarding the Jets or the Patriots game, and again, love to hear any opinions from anybody in the chat. What did you think of Trey White being back out there?
Well, it's really good to see Trey White back out there. We definitely need to get him in some more snaps, especially because the playoffs are definitely sneaking up on us. Like, I think 6 more weeks until the playoffs are here. That's not too. That's it's like a month and a half to get Trey White back at the full speed, and that's not that too much time.
Yeah, I agree. I think it might surprise you, and sometimes it's hard with defensive backs because you don't necessarily notice them when they're doing their job the right way. But White, to my knowledge, I never checked the snap count, but he played most of the game, and he played across from Rhodes. And I got to say, after watching Dane Jackson get burnt the last few weeks, I know it was just the Patriots' offense, and we have to keep that in mind. But Rhodes and White looked really good out there to me, and I thought they played a solid game.
Yes, honestly, I think that they might have some chemistry, especially because they are both veteran players and they know how each other play. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I obviously they're both vets, which helps for sure. But they just seem to play well off each other, and obviously Poyer being back there is always going to be helpful. It looks like Dallas here is agreeing with you. Go ahead, you can read that one.
Yes, Cook was good. Hopefully, carries that Sunday. He's got.
Yeah, I think he's just Dallas is just agreeing with you there that Cook played a big part, and hopefully he plays a big part again this week. So obviously your opinion is shared by other Bills Mafia.
Hey,
Great
thanks,
speed
Dallas.
once he gets moving. Again, couldn't agree more. Dallas, I think his vision is still a little iffy at times. He's got to learn a little bit more patience. The typical things you say about rookie running backs. I don't watch film or break down film, but most rookie running backs have some issues with picking up the blitz, which a lot of times cuts back on their snap count. I don't know how well he's done at that. I haven't noticed him being the reason for pressure on Allen, so I would assume it's okay. But yeah, I think if you get him out in the open field, he's dangerous, and that's really helpful. Okay, so on from Trey White here. So we'll play our factor flag, okay, and then we'll move on to previewing the Jets game. What do you think?
Yeah.
Okay, so first factor flag, and in the chat, feel free to play along. If you believe it's a fact, obviously you would type fact. If you believe it's false, you would type flag. McDermott has never been swept by a divisional opponent since he's been the Bills head coach. So that means he's never lost both games to a divisional opponent in 1 year. Obviously, we lost to the Jets. We're hoping to not lose to them this week.
I think that is a fact.
That is actually a flag. So his first 2 years coaching, he was swept by the Patriots. That was back when they still had Brady. And we did not beat the Patriots until Brady left. But he has never been swept by Miami or the Jets. And New England hasn't swept him, obviously, since Brady left. So I can understand why you would think that, but I think you're forgetting about those earlier years where it was a little tougher. Yep, the Pats, Dallas, exactly. But it hasn't happened in a few years, definitely not since Allen took his leap. So that's good to see. Hopefully we don't start that this year, getting swept by divisional opponents. I don't want to see that. Okay, so the next one, factor
I don't think
flag.
anybody does.
The Buffalo Bills average almost 10 points more at scoring almost 10 points more at home than they do on the road. Factor flag.
I feel like that's a fact.
You feel like it's a fact? Any opinions there in the chat, Dallas? I'll give you a chance to answer here just for a few seconds before answer. So it's Bills average 10 points, almost 10 points more at home than they do on the road scoring. All right, so that one is a fact. They average, it's just under 10 points. It's like 9.4 points. So obviously they've been more comfortable playing at home, which is pretty normal, pretty typical. And hopefully we see that trend continue this week because I think we could use a real offensive explosion. All right. I think this is going to be the last one here. So the Jets are allowing more points per game at home than they are on the road. So their defense is allowing more points per game at home than on the road. Factor flag.
Flag.
That is actually true. I see Dallas said flag there. I'm sorry, Dallas. I don't know if you're responding to the second one I asked about the Bills scoring more points or the last one about the Jets. The Jets are actually averaging giving up 17.7 points on the road and 19.5 points at home. So for some reason, the Jets is a little bit off from the typical way that teams play, and their defense has played better on the road. I actually have one more for you, and you may have heard this on One Bills Live in Dallas. If you watch other Bills content, you may have also heard this one. But the Bills are the only team in the NFL to have rushed for at least 100 yards in every game this year. Fact or flag?
I think that's a fact.
It absolutely is a fact.
Okay,
So all the
2 for 4, I'm not bad. Not
2
bad.
for 4, yeah, 50-50. All of the talk about how the Bills can't run the ball, and we are the only team in the NFL to have run for at least 100 yards in every game this year. So I just found that interesting. All right, so let's move on to the Jets preview here. What do you think of the Jets game coming up? They got a great defense, and we're playing against Mike White now, not Zach Wilson. What do you think?
Well, comparing the Patriots-Jets game that happened, honestly, I feel like Mike White is better than Zach Wilson comparing to that game. But yes, the Jets do have a very good defense, especially with Quentin Williams, CJ Mosley, and Sauce Gardner. Those are the three main guys, and they're both very good players. And it's definitely going to be tough to move the ball with them on the field.
Yeah. I agree. I think they got playmakers at every level on the defense, and that's scary. We have to play fundamentally sound football this weekend on offense, especially. We have to be disciplined. I know what makes Allen so special are those off-script plays that he makes, and they're impressive and they're highlight film worthy, but not to the detriment of the team. So I would much rather grit out a game and win 18-15 with all field goals than have him throw 3 interceptions and let the Jets hang around and put it all in the defense. What do you think of Mike White? Now, last year, Mike White came in. He had a game to set records. Nobody had ever started out with their first ever NFL game like that. Then the second week, he got hurt. He left the game early. The third week, he played us, and he had 4 interceptions. He fell apart. Now, this year, 2 games ago, he gets the start, blows it up. He has like 350 yards passing. He just plays unbelievable. Last week, he struggled a little bit more. He threw a couple interceptions and just at times didn't look comfortable. At other times, though, he still did. So what do you think of Mike White?
It depends on if we're at home or away.
Well, we're at home this week.
I think he's going to be garbage.
You think he's going to be garbage? Wow, those are some strong words. I do think that the Bills will be very happy to be home, and I think that's a good point that you kind of brought up there. And I think the fan base will be very happy that they're back home. And Dallas actually just answered as well and gave up a little prediction here. So we are at home, and I think we blow them out this weekend. Offense catches fire. Dallas, I've been calling that for weeks. I would love to see that. I think we need a game like that too, where Allen and Diggs and Davis and the offense just everything clicks and everything falls into place. We need that before we get to the postseason because the time is not to fix that is not in the postseason. So good point there. Totally agree with you. Hopefully you'll share a score prediction with us here in a little bit when we get to that portion of it. Okay, so I do think that, again, Allen has to be careful with the football and still take risks, but calculating risks. I think that, and I can't even believe I'm saying this, but running the ball is still – we should rely on running the ball a little bit more like we did against the Pats. Don't become one-dimensional, especially if Dawkins either isn't 100% or isn't back. You can't just have Allen dropping back 50 times and throwing the ball. It's not going to end well. We can't protect him for that long, not with that pass rush, and he's going to end up making mistakes then. So I would love to see a nice controlled game, but I would like to see the offense just in rhythm and clicking and not those miscommunications and those issues that seem to be happening. Who is your player to watch for, Mini Mafia, moving forward for the
watch is Diggs.
Diggs? Okay, and what do you think? Elaborate on that a little bit. What do you think of Diggs this weekend?
Well, he's definitely played well the last few games. I think he's definitely on a hot streak. I think he's definitely going to play really well against the Jets, especially because we're at home, and those always, knock on wood, do good at home.
Yeah, except for against the Vikings. We kind of fell apart in that one, right?
Yes, but it was a very close game. It was 33-30.
It was close, but we kind of just gave that game away at the end. But I hear you. We've been really good at home this year, really strong at home this year. Excuse me, I'm a little congested here, so I have to excuse my voice and stuff. Yeah, I would love to see Diggs go off. I mean, even Diggs this year is just averaging going off for most receivers. So if he just continues to do what he's doing. And Dallas points out here that Knox is due for a big game. And again, Dallas, you're reading my mind, Dallas. Like again, I could not agree more. He's kind of disappeared a little bit this season. I can't personally tell. Maybe you have an opinion on it, or you do, Mini Mafia. I can't personally tell if it is because of the play calling with Ken Dorsey. Has something changed with the play calling, or has something changed with Knox, or our defense is taking him away, or is it Allen? What do you think? Why do you think Knox has been so quiet this year?
I feel like Knox has been decently quiet because, like, again, we have Diggs. He's our number one wide receiver. We need to get what he demands. Or, like, I don't think he's going to leave. But if he has, like, a 20-yard game, like, he's going to be upset.
But we had Diggs last year, and Knox still I think he was tied for the league lead by tight ends and touchdowns and stuff. So what do you think has changed this year? Do you think it's on Knox? Do you think it's on Allen, or do you think it's on the play calling with Dorsey? Because we do have a new offensive coordinator.
I feel like it's like on the whole entire offense and like the draft and Dorsey. I feel like Dorsey likes to pass it to the wide receivers more than the tight end. Also, James Cook. We have
That's taking some touches away. Yep.
that's definitely like we're definitely going to be passing to him. It's also definitely taking away snaps, not like snaps, but like catches for Knox
Right.
because we're definitely going to be running it more with him.
Yeah, definitely in the Pats game, I would agree with that. I also think one of the things with Knox is that at times the offensive line has been struggling this year, and Dorsey has, in my opinion, just at the eye test, I haven't actually done the research on it, but he appears to be more likely to keep in extra blockers like the tight end and the running backs, as opposed to the way that Dable would handle the offensive line not doing so well. And I think Dallas is just pointing that out now. Definitely use him for blocking. He's had a few drops, unfortunately, too. Can you put that on the screen? So I would agree with you, Dallas, that he's been in blocking more than he was last year. I'm glad that you believe that as well. Again, I don't break down film, but that's how it's appeared to me, is that he's been in helping in the backfield a lot more often. So my player to watch for this week, I'm going to go back to the running game. Devin Singletary, James Cook. The Jets have given up at least 100 yards to running backs, the opposing team's running back, in 4 out of the last 5 games. Now, the only game that they didn't do that in the last 5 games was against us, which I think a lot of that was just our unwillingness to run the ball. It wasn't even about whether or not we could. They still gave up 100 yards rushing. They just didn't give it up to the running backs. But 4 out of the last 5 games, the Jets have given up at least 100 yards rushing or receiving combined to the different running backs. And with Cook and Singletary really coming alive last week, I think it's a great time to keep that ball rolling. And again, I think people really rag on the Bills' run game, and I don't understand why. If you look at it, Cook is averaging 5.4 yards a rush so far this season. That's the same as Josh Jacobs. That's like top 5 among running backs that regularly carry the ball. Devin Singletary is averaging 4.4 yards per carry. That is the same as McCaffrey, as Barkley. It's better than Eckler, Henry, Hunt, Mixon,
Those
Kamara.
are some big time running backs.
All of those running backs get less yards per rush than Devin Singletary does, and less than James. All of them get less than James Cook.
He's
and
a
yet,
rookie.
Yeah, and yet people are constantly talking about how the Bills can't run the ball. And I don't think it's true. We just don't do it very often. But obviously we proved last week if we need to rely on it, we can. So my players to watch would be the running game. I would assume it would be Cook again, but I guess I don't know for sure how many carries or touches he's going to get compared to Singletary. But the running backs in that room, I think is going to have a big game this week. And David here just shared a comment with us. Thank you for your comment. Just saw you live. Nice to see mom and son doing a good job. Thank you so much. We really appreciate it. I'm glad that you stopped in. We really appreciate the support. We're we're trying. It's a fun activity for us to do together. I've always loved the Bills. I got him into the Bills, and it's something that we can share. And I think everybody who's a Bills fan loves interacting with other members of Bills Mafia because you care so much about your team, and it's definitely a community. Anybody who's a Bills fan, you're instantly connected. So appreciate that support, David. Thank you for stopping in today. So the defense now is going to be without Von Miller for the rest of the year.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that?
Well, that is very, very sad. He is one of the biggest players in the NFL. Like, everybody knows him. He's played on 3 different teams. And this is sadly, he cannot win a Super Bowl with us.
Well, he could still win the
This
Super
year.
Bowl. He just can't. He won't be on the field, but he would still get a ring and stuff like that. How do you think the Bills are going to be able to overcome it?
Well, we have Rousseau and Epinesa back. That's very, very good. And I feel like Davon was training Rousseau because they play almost at the same exact position, just at different sides.
Right.
And I don't know if he's going to be back partway through next season, like first 2-3 games.
Yeah, a little worried about the pass rush with you, and we don't know how long he's going to be out for. Those are all
Especially
good points.
because he's a veteran.
Right, and he's older. It takes a little longer to heal. So David Staples here shares with us that he is a big Jets fan, but quietly root for Bills once Jets are out. I feel you, David. Like, I know we're supposed to hate the teams in our division, and believe me, I hate Miami, and I think every team in the NFL hates New England. It's the hatred has lessened a little over the last few years, but still can't stand them. But the Jets, I never really had anything against. Like, obviously, I don't root for you when you're playing the Bills, but I would love nothing more than for the Bills to be number one, the Jets to be the team that's nipping at our heels moving forward. The Dolphins fans, sometimes I just can't take them. I know every fan base has its fans like that. But Jets fans, I love Jets fans. I love Jets media. Just all around, I'm with you. I root for the Jets if the Bills aren't involved in it. So, again, appreciate your support, David, both as a Bills fan and as somebody hosting a show here. Definitely appreciate it. So, I'm just going to go back here. We're talking about the defense getting pressure on Mike White and moving forward getting pressure. But for this week in specific, I think a key thing is going to be disguising what we're doing. So making Mike White believe that we're doing one thing and then being able to back out of it and get into a different defense. I think that's going to be key to confusing him and throwing him off. He is a very rhythmic passer. So if you could take away his first read and force him to play off script or force him to go through his progressions, make it a little tougher on him. He might throw you a few or he might get happy feet. He hasn't played that much. So I think the defense needs to play him a lot like they did last year. And I would love to see that.
Those have to be concerned about Jets front pass rush going to be a good one, I think.
Yeah, and we were talking about that a little earlier, David, and I know you missed that part. You had just come in, but absolutely concerned about the Jets pass rush. That defense is real. It is legit. And if you get the solid offense, and I know you lost your superstar running back, which was tragic, you get the offense to go with it, you're going to be a force. And I got to be completely honest with you. The Jets scare me. They really do. Like, they are a complete legit contender, and they worry me. So, yes, the offensive line and the offense in general, we are concerned about as Bills fans for this Jets game for sure. And then, David shared with us again, you guys have the best quarterback. Yes, even better than the Chiefs, Mahomes. I appreciate that. Obviously, we believe that, even though I don't think he's had the best season. The numbers will prove that. I appreciate that, though. I think there's just things that Allen can do that Mahomes can't, plays that he can make, and I don't believe that there are plays that Mahomes can make that Allen can't. What do you think? Who's better, Allen or Mahomes?
Well,
I know you're a Bills fan, so.
For my heart, Allen. On script, Allen. But this year, it's kind of tied. Allen hasn't had the best year this year.
Allen's had a lot of turnovers, but regardless of the numbers, just to look at it and what he does to help his team win, I appreciate that. And I obviously, as a very biased fan, agree.
Also, because now he's kind of equal / better because he's done the pitch that everybody's been talking about from Mahomes with Hines. last game.
Oh, yeah, he did. And I think he made a couple plays last week that if Mahomes had done them, that's all, like the pitch that you're talking about, that's all anybody would be talking about. But Allen does it, and it doesn't even make the highlight reel for a lot of the ESPN highlights. So, yeah, I'm with you. Mahomes definitely gets more attention. And I mean, I won't get started in it and go into this rabbit hole, but like, if you were to discount the touchdown passes that Mahomes throws that are behind the line of scrimmage, Allen would have more touchdown passes the last 2 years, like each year. Like it just things like that drive me nuts. But I won't get into all of that right now. Mahomes is a phenomenal talent. He's unbelievable, and he has a great team around him. And Kelsey, especially, is very talented. Even though I can't stand him because he keeps killing us, he's very talented. But I won't get into all that right now. We'll save that for hopefully in the playoffs where we're facing them.
Yes, I cannot wait to podcast the playoffs.
That'll be interesting for sure. So the last point I want to make about the defense and the pass rush without Von Miller, I think getting pressure on Mike White is going to be key, even if you're not bringing him down and it doesn't show in the sacks. But he's not the most mobile quarterback. So if you could get that pressure, especially up the middle, would be nice, which that's where Ed Oliver, hopefully Jordan Phillips is able to practice this week, come in. I think that'll be key. What do you think? Do you think that Rousseau and them will be able to get pressure?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. So David here is just saying goodnight to us. So I'm going to go now. I'll watch your video next week. My prediction, Jets 30, Bills 29. All right. Well, I, again, appreciate you stopping in. I hope your prediction's wrong, but thank you so much for sharing it with us. You have a great week, and I hope both teams come out of the game healthy for sure. Thanks again, David. All right. So anything else to add about the Jets matchup?
No.
What's up? Okay. All right. So let's move on to the Josh Allen stat line. What do you think for Josh Allen this week? What do you think he's going to do?
I think he's going to have 322 yards, 20 for 37, 2 touchdowns, 4 attempts, and 36 rushing yards.
2 touchdowns, 4 attempts. What do you mean on that? Oh, 4 attempts rushing?
Yes.
So, okay. So 2 passing touchdowns, and then 4 rushing attempts for 36 yards?
Yes,
Okay.
I think we are going to kick 2 field goals, and Singletary or Cookers are going to have 1.
Okay. All right. I would definitely love to see that. If anybody in the chat has a prediction, please put it up. We'll show it on the screen and talk about it. My prediction, I'm with Dallas here. I think that we're going to break it open here offensively, but I've been saying that for 3 weeks. So who knows? I probably have no idea what I'm talking about. But my Josh Allen stat line is 275 and 275 through the air, 30 rushing yards, 2 TDs, and 1 rushing TD. And I also believe that Cook or Devin Singletary will add a touchdown. So I'm with you on the offensive explosion there for sure. Would love to see Allen over 300 yards passing because he hasn't done that in a while, and I think it'll be good for his psyche too. So last little bit of it, the Bills versus the Jets at the Bills score prediction. What do you think?
I think the Bills are going to win 24-21.
All right, so you're calling for another close game, right?
We haven't played the best, but then again, we did just beat the Pats by 14 points. But I think it's going to be a close game, especially because of, how we've played.
Now, what do you think the flow of the game will be like? Do you think it'll be where the Bills jump out to a lead and then the Jets are trying to claw their way back in, or you think it'll be a back and forth game?
Honestly, I think the Jets might score an early field goal first, and then the Bills are going to score a touchdown.
Okay, so do you think it'll be a little bit like the Pats game then, where the Jets jump out to a lead, but then the Bills go on a little bit of a run, and then the Jets kind of score to crawl back into the game?
Yes.
Yeah, I can see that. I'm thinking it's going to be a little bit more of a blowout, and again, could be completely wrong. Not an expert score predictor by any means. My score prediction is going to be 34-17 Bills. I'm really, really hoping, like Dallas mentioned earlier, that the offense just explodes in this game. That would be really, really nice to see. So either way, though, if they get out of there with a W, I'm good to go because with everything else that happened last Sunday with the Dolphins losing and the Chiefs losing and all that, everything happened that the Bills needed to happen. And the Bills right now have their destiny in their own hands. They're number 1 in the AFC. They're getting the bye. They're playing at home throughout the playoffs. That is huge. So we need to keep winning. And you can't, if you're going to win your division and you're going to be a Super Bowl team, you can't get swept by the team that finished last in your division last year. You shouldn't get swept by any teams in your division when you're winning the Super Bowl. So if that's what they want to do, they need to go out there and they need to figure out how to win this game. What do you think?
Definitely, because remember last year, if that game was in Buffalo, we'd win that game.
I think so. I think that KC and Bills' home field advantage has to be worth at least a 1 point swing. So I agree. Getting home field advantage is huge, and not having to play the wild card week. Like you get to pass by that round, and you don't, especially with all the injuries we've had this year, it would be huge. But we're kind of getting ahead of ourselves
And
there.
who knows? Micah Hyde might be back late for the playoffs.
It's possible. I've still heard that's just a rumor. The Bills haven't actually said that, but that's possible. So Dallas here, if you want to go ahead and read what Dallas's score prediction was.
33-17, almost doubled.
Yes, and that's very close to my score prediction. And Dallas also said, great show, guys. Again, really appreciate the support, Dallas. Appreciate you hanging out with us and sharing your comments and your opinions. Again, just love interacting with any of the Bills Mafia. All right, so anything else you want to share before we head out?
Not really, just love the Bills. Hope you guys too. Hope they win.
All right. So, and then we'll put up your score prediction video in a little bit here, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So, thank you all so much for joining us. We really appreciate the support. Again, the Bills are facing off against the Jets this week. I am Mafia Mom.
I am Mini Mafia. Again, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Until next time,
go Bills.
Bye, guys. Ah.